Part 1. You're being too sensitive, babe. The words, delivered with a sigh and a roll of his perfectly sculpted eyes, hit me like a splash of ice water on a sunny California day. It was Liam's go to dismissal, his verbal get-out-of-jail-free card, whenever I dared to express a feeling that didn't align with his meticulously curated reality. And every time he said it, little piece of me chipped away. We'd been dating for 11 months, 3 weeks, and 4 days. Yes, I was counting. I'm a writer. Details matter. And in the superficial, fast-paced world of Los Angeles, almost a year felt like a lifetime. Especially since I, hopelessly romantic sap that I am, had actually started entertaining the possibility that Liam, with his effortlessly cool vibe and his talent for finding the perfect Instagram filter, might just be the one. We met, as all good LA love stories do, at a trendy coffee shop in Silver Lake. I was wrestling with a particularly stubborn plot point in my screenplay, and he was sketching abstract art on a napkin, fueled by a double espresso and an aura of undeniable charisma. We bonded over our mutual disdain for pumpkin spice lattes, our shared love of obscure Swedish indie bands, and our unwavering commitment to the perfect avocado toast. He was charming, witty, and devastatingly handsome, with a jawline that could cut glass and eyes that sparkled like the lights of the city at night. Within weeks, we were inseparable, spending our days exploring hidden vintage shops, hiking in Runyon Canyon, and attending pop-up art exhibitions. We spent our nights curled up on his vintage velvet couch, binge-watching obscure documentaries and debating the merits of various artisanal cheeses. I'd even started letting my guard down, sharing my deepest insecurities and my most embarrassing childhood memories. I was falling, and I was falling hard. But there was this one thing. This one tiny, persistent, nagging little detail that buzzed around my head like an irritating gnat. His Instagram bio. It was a seemingly innocuous string of words, but it gnawed at me, kept me up at night, and cast a shadow of doubt over our seemingly perfect relationship. There it was, in bold, unwavering letters, right beneath his perfectly posed profile picture, Bachelor Actor Dog Dad. I know. It sounds utterly ridiculous, even as I type it. Petty. Insecure. The kind of thing you'd read in a Cosmo article about red flags you're ignoring in your relationship. But for some reason, it just got under my skin. Every time I saw it, I felt a jolt of discomfort, a subtle reminder that I wasn't quite permanent in his life, that I was just a temporary fixture in his carefully curated online persona. That despite all the time we spent together, the intimacies we shared, and the I love yous whispered in the dark, he was still, at least in the digital world, presenting himself as available. Part 2. I tried to convince myself that I was being irrational, that I was letting my insecurities get the better of me. After all, social media is a carefully constructed illusion, a highlight reel of filtered selfies and boastful pronouncements. It's not real life, right? People only post the best versions of themselves, the moments they want the world to see. Liam's Instagram was no different. A glossy, aspirational depiction of his life as a struggling actor, a devoted dog dad, and, apparently, a perpetually available bachelor. I told myself that I shouldn't read too much into it. That he was probably just too busy with auditions and acting classes to bother updating his bio. That it was a harmless oversight, a trivial detail that didn't reflect his true feelings for me. I even considered changing my bio to something equally provocative, like Runaway Bride Seeks Adventure Foodie, just to see if he noticed. But then I remembered that I was an adult, not a teenager playing silly mind games. Still, the bachelor thing bothered me. It was like a tiny pebble in my shoe, constantly rubbing and irritating me, no matter how hard I tried to ignore it. Was he keeping his options open? Was he secretly hoping for a better offer? Was he waiting for a hotter, more successful actress to sweep him off his feet and whisk him away to a life of red carpet premieres and paparazzi flashes? The thought made my stomach churn. I knew it was ridiculous, that Liam wasn't some shallow, fame-obsessed player. But still, the doubt lingered, whispering insidious suggestions in my ear. So, one night, after a particularly cozy evening of Netflix and takeout Thai food, I decided to address the elephant in the room, or rather, the elephant in his Instagram bio. We were sprawled on the couch, bathed in the warm glow of the TV screen, his arm wrapped possessively around my shoulders. It felt like the perfect moment to broach the subject, to finally put my anxieties to rest. "Hey, Liam," I said, trying to sound breezy and nonchalant, like I was just making casual conversation. "I was just wondering. I noticed your Instagram bio still says, Bachelor. Is that intentional?" He chuckled, that easy, charming chuckle that I usually found so endearing, but tonight, it grated on my nerves. "Oh, that," he said, his voice casual. "I just haven't gotten around to changing it. You know how it is. Life gets crazy." He reached for the remote, changing the channel to a baseball game. It was a clear deflection, a subtle attempt to change the subject, but I wasn't going to let him off the hook that easily. "But it's been like almost a year," I pointed out, unable to keep the edge out of my voice. "We've been dating for almost a year. Don't you think it's time to update your online persona?" He sighed, that dramatic sigh that indicated he was about to launch into a lecture on the importance of not taking social media too seriously. "You're being too sensitive, babe," he said, his eyes never leaving the TV screen. "It's just a bio. It doesn't mean anything." His words, delivered with such casual dismissiveness, stung more than I expected. The validation I had been so desperate for, completely absent. Part 3. "It doesn't mean anything?" I repeated, my voice rising slightly, the carefully constructed facade of nonchalance crumbling around me. "But it makes it seem like you're still available, like you're still looking. Don't you think it's a little misleading? Especially since we're, dating?" He finally turned away from the baseball game, his expression shifting from amusement to annoyance. "Look, Allie," he said, his voice laced with exasperation, "I love you, okay? You know that. I spend all my time with you. I've introduced you to my friends, my family. What more do you want? I want you to acknowledge that I exist in your online life," I retorted, my voice trembling slightly. "I want you to show the world that you're not just a bachelor anymore. That you're with someone. That you're with me." He sighed again, running a hand through his perfectly tousled hair. "Allie, seriously, you can't let little things like this get to you. It's just social media. It's not real life. Our real life is amazing. Why are you letting some stupid Instagram bio ruin it?" "But it is real life," I countered, my voice growing louder. "Social media is part of real life now. It's how people connect. It's how people present themselves to the world. It's not just some separate, insignificant thing." We argued for a while longer, going in circles, each of us digging in our heels, refusing to budge. He insisted that I was being overly sensitive, that I was making a mountain out of a molehill. I insisted that he was being dismissive, that he wasn't taking my feelings seriously. He told me I was being insecure. I told him he was being inconsiderate. He said I was overreacting. I said he was being deliberately obtuse. Finally, exhausted and defeated, I gave up. I could see that I wasn't getting through to him, that he simply didn't understand why it bothered me so much. And honestly, I wasn't even sure why it bothered me so much. Was I being insecure? Was I being unreasonable? Was I letting my own anxieties and insecurities cloud my judgment? "Fine," I said, my voice flat, devoid of emotion. "You're right. It's just a bio. It doesn't matter." I turned away from him, pretending to be engrossed in the baseball game. But inside, I was seething. I felt dismissed, invalidated, and worst of all, foolish. I had opened myself up, revealed my vulnerability, and he had responded with a shrug and a sigh. I decided to let it go, to bury my feelings and try to move on. But the seed of doubt had been planted, and it started to sprout, growing stronger with each passing day. The warmth and affection that had characterized our relationship began to cool, replaced by a subtle chill of suspicion and resentment. Every time I saw his Instagram bio, the Bachelor label seemed to mock me, a constant reminder of his unwillingness to acknowledge my presence in his life. And as the days turned into weeks, I found myself increasingly withdrawn, questioning everything, doubting everything. The seed of doubt had grown into a thorny vine, choking the life out of our once vibrant connection. Part 4. Weeks blurred into a monotonous cycle of forced smiles, strained conversations, and increasingly infrequent intimacy. We continued to go through the motions of a relationship, attending parties, going on hikes, even meeting each other's friends for brunch. Everything seemed perfect on the surface, a carefully curated illusion for the outside world. But underneath, the unease festered, a silent, unspoken tension that hung heavy in the air. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off, that Liam was holding something back. I found myself scrutinizing his every move, analyzing his every word, searching for clues that would confirm my worst fears. Was he spending more time on his phone than usual? Was he being evasive about his whereabouts? Was he suddenly showering more attention on his dog, as a way to deflect from his own guilt? I knew it was pathetic, that I was descending into a spiral of paranoia and insecurity, but I couldn't help myself. The nagging doubt, fueled by the persistent bachelor bio, had taken root in my mind, and I was powerless to stop it from growing. I started creeping on his Instagram, obsessively refreshing his profile, scrolling through his photos, searching for any sign that he was secretly talking to other women. I knew it was a toxic habit, a self-destructive cycle of anxiety and obsession. But I couldn't resist the urge to snoop, to pry, to try to uncover the truth, no matter how painful it might be. One day, as I was mindlessly scrolling through his latest post, a charming photo of him and his dog at the beach, captioned with a string of generic hashtags, I noticed something that made my heart sink. A comment from a woman I didn't recognize. Her username was Sierra Sunrise, and her profile picture was a glamorous headshot of a woman with long, flowing blonde hair and piercing blue eyes. The comment itself was innocuous enough, just a string of fire emojis. But something about it felt flirty. The casual confidence, the blatant display of admiration, the sheer audacity of leaving such a comment on my boyfriend's Instagram page. It felt like a calculated move, a subtle assertion of her presence, a blatant challenge to my claim on Liam. I clicked on her profile, and my heart plummeted. Sierra Sunrise's feed was a carefully curated collection of glamorous photos, showcasing her jet-setting lifestyle, her impeccable fashion sense, and her undeniable beauty. She was a model, an influencer, everything I wasn't. And to my horror, I discovered that she was also following Liam. The realization hit me like a punch to the gut. The bachelor bio, the fire emoji, the glamorous model following him on Instagram. It all added up to one inescapable conclusion. Liam was keeping his options open. He was flirting with other women, leading them on, all while pretending to be devoted to me. He was a liar, a cheat, a master of deception. A wave of anger washed over me, so intense it almost blinded me. I wanted to confront him, to scream at him, to demand an explanation. But I knew that if I did that, I would just be playing into his hands. He would dismiss me as being too sensitive, as usual, and I would end up feeling even worse. Instead, I decided to bide my time, to gather my evidence, to plan my revenge. I would expose him for the liar that he was. I would show him that I wasn't someone to be trifled with. And I would make him regret the day he ever decided to leave that stupid bachelor bio on his Instagram profile. Part 5. The confrontation had to be perfect. I couldn't just burst out in a fit of rage, spewing accusations like a scorned lover in a bad rom-com. No, I needed to be strategic, calculated, and ice-cold. I needed to expose Liam's deception in a way that would leave him speechless and utterly humiliated. I spent the next few days gathering my ammunition. I screenshot the fire emoji comment. I compiled a list of all the instances where Liam had been evasive or secretive about his phone activity, and I even managed to find a few old DMs between him and Sierra Sunrise that hinted at a flirtatious exchange. I felt like a private investigator, piecing together a complex puzzle of lies and half-truths. That night, I invited Liam over for dinner. I cooked his favorite meal, homemade pasta carbonara, a dish he always raved about, and I even bought a bottle of expensive wine, the kind he only reserved for special occasions. I wanted him to feel comfortable, relaxed, completely unsuspecting of the storm that was about to break. As we ate, I pretended to be happy, engaged, and blissfully unaware. I laughed at his jokes, I listened attentively to his stories about his latest audition, and I even complimented his beige sweater. But inside, my heart was pounding, my hands were shaking, and my mind was racing. Finally, after we had finished eating and the wine had started to flow, I took a deep breath and launched my attack. "So," I said, my voice casual but firm, "I was looking at your Instagram the other day. and I noticed something interesting. He looked up, his brow furrowed in confusion. Oh? What's that? I pulled out my phone and showed him the screenshot comment from Sierra Sunrise. This, I said, pointing to the fire emojis. Who is Sierra Sunrise, Liam? He rolled his eyes, his go-to defense mechanism when he was cornered. Ali, seriously? We're doing this again? You're getting worked up over a fire emoji. Don't play dumb, Liam, I said, my voice hardening. I know she's not just some random follower. I know you've been talking to her. I want to know who she is, and I want to know what's going on. He sighed, running a hand through his perfectly tousled hair. She's just a friend, he said, his voice laced with irritation. I met her at an audition a few months ago. We're not doing anything. A friend who leaves fire emojis on your photos? I challenged, raising my eyebrows. A friend who you've been secretly DMing behind my back? He hesitated, a flicker of something unreadable crossing his face. Okay, fine, he admitted, his voice dropping to a whisper. She's a friend who's interested. But I haven't done anything, I swear. I would never cheat on you. But you haven't exactly discouraged her either, have you? I said, the truth hitting me like a physical blow. That bachelor bio? It's not just a joke, is it? It's a signal. It's a way of letting other women know that you're still on the market, that you're still available. He looked down, avoiding my gaze, his face flushed with guilt. I didn't think it was a big deal, he mumbled. I didn't think you'd notice. It's a huge deal, Liam, I said, my voice shaking with anger and hurt. It means you haven't been honest with me. It means you haven't been fully committed to this relationship. And it means that I was right all along. You're not over being a bachelor. And maybe you never will be. I stood up from the table, my hands trembling, my eyes filled with tears. I'm done, Liam, I said, my voice barely a whisper. I can't do this anymore. I can't be with someone who's not completely honest with me, someone who's still clinging to a fantasy of being single and available. I grabbed my purse and walked towards the door, leaving him standing there alone in his perfectly decorated apartment with his half-eaten pasta carbonara and his expensive bottle of wine. As I reached for the doorknob, I paused and turned back to face him. Oh, and one more thing, I said, my voice laced with sarcasm. You might want to update your Instagram bio. It's a little misleading. Then I walked out the door, leaving him standing there alone, with his bachelor bio and his fire emoji girl. And as I walked, I knew one thing for sure. I might be too sensitive, but I wasn't stupid. I deserved someone who was willing to commit, someone who was proud to be with me, someone who wasn't afraid to show the world that he was taken. And Liam, with his carefully curated online persona and his persistent need to remain a bachelor, simply wasn't that person. The taste of the carbonara turned bitter in my mouth. The next relationship would be Instagram-free, that I promised myself.